Okay. Good evening, all, and thank you for joining us. On behalf of Bajaj Finance Limit, I'd like to welcome you for today's session. Friends, हमारी ये लगातार कोशिश रहती है कि हम आपके लिए लेटेस्ट न्यूज़ एंड नॉलेज फ्रॉम द वर्ल्ड ऑफ म्यूचुअल फंड्स लेके आए और उसी प्रयास के में हम वी इनवाइट लीडर्स फ्रॉम म्यूचुअल फंड इंडस्ट्री टू कम एंड शेयर देयर नॉलेज एंड एक्सपर्टीज विद अस. Today, we have with us Mr. Aniruddha Chaudhuri, Head of Sales and Distribution from Bajaj Finance AMC with us. Today, he'll be talking about a very interesting topic, which is behavioral finance. Mr. Aniruddha, I'd like to welcome you for the session today.
Thank you, Rohan. Thank you for inviting me in this program.
It's a pleasure to have you, sir. Before we start off, I'd like to give a brief introduction about Mr. Aniruddha. Mr. Aniruddha has a rich experience of over 2 decades in which he has worked for developing business strategy, product development, and marketing of investment solutions in both banking and mutual fund industry. At Bajaj Finance AMC, he is responsible for driving sales and distribution function for both retail and institutional segments across India. By qualification, he is a chartered accountant and a cost accountant. Well, friends, today's topic is about behavioral finance. You know, हम as humans, हमारे पास एक computer-like organ है which is called the brain, and this brain is supposed to make rational decisions based on logic, analysis. पर हम हमेशा लॉजिकल डिसीजंस नहीं लेते. वो नया आईफोन आया तो बस खरीद लिया, वो नए शूज पसंद आए नाइकी के जॉर्डन्स, वो खरीद लिए जबकि वो हमारे बजट के बाहर है. अरे किसी फ्रेंड, हमारा सबका एक फ्रेंड होता है वो जो हमेशा बोलता है, अरे भाई इस स्टॉक में लगा दे पैसा, भागेगा ये स्टॉक, देख लेना. अरे हम मेरे एक दो और दोस्तों ने भी उसमें लगाया पैसा, तू भी डाल दे. बट क्या होगा नहीं होगा, हम ऐसे डिसीजंस लेते रहते हैं. एंड उस टाइम पे हमें लगता है कि हमने लॉजिकल डिसीजन लिया है, बहुत ही रैशनल डिसीजन लिया है. आईफोन क्यों लिया? क्योंकि डिस्काउंट पे था. अरे जॉर्डन के शूज आगे मिलेंगे नहीं, बजटिंग और इनकम तो आती रहेगी. स्टॉक पे इसलिए लगाया, अरे रिटर्न तो पक्का हो ही जाएगा, इतना तगड़ा स्टॉक था. राइट फ्रेंड्स, यही होता है हम सबके साथ. आवर ब्रेन ट्राइज टू प्ले ट्रिक्स विद अस because we as humans are driven by emotions and other factors, and due to which we make irrational decisions which we are not even aware about. Friends, Mr. Aniruddha today will help us understand these decision making processes, especially with respect to financial choices that we make, and so that we learn and then understand and try to correct all these decisions that we make, especially with respect to our finances. So, friends, without wasting much time, I'd like to hand over the stage to Mr. Aniruddha, who can talk to us about today's interesting topic. Sir, please take it ahead from here.
Thank you, Rohan. Thank you so much. Thank you all the participants. In fact, Rohan has beautifully stated about our decision-making process, and it's more on emotion rather than on logic. We may say that it's illogical way of taking decision, but as a human being, that is the way of taking decision. And we will be going through the same way in every decision making. The more we know our biases, it becomes important and effective for us to take a correct decision. So today I will be having a small discussion on different biases and behavioral finance, which we think is the most important thing for any investor. So if I can have the presentation, please.
Just a moment. It's up.
Yeah, great. So actually, whether humans are rational, we want to be rational, but irrationality is the way of our life. The human being, the Homo sapien, is still existing is because of that irrationality. कहीं कोई एक जगह में अगर आवाज आया, थोड़ा सा अगर इधर उधर हो गया, the first thing which comes into our mind, भागो. There is no rationality. कितना आवाज, कितना क्या, वो सब नहीं सोचते हैं. And because of that, we exist. So when we discuss about that, please keep in mind that's the way any human will behave, and we all are like that, whether we like it or not. So there are a lot of biases. We thought that we will discuss few of them, and maybe at a later part in some other day we will be discussing more. And in between, you can actually test yourself whether you can control those biases or not. So a very simple scenario. Suppose there is a big outbreak of an unusual disease. अभी कोरोना इज द नियरेस्ट वन जो हम लोग सोचते हैं, और वहां पर ऐसे आया कि इट्स एक्सपेक्टेड टू किल 600 पीपल. नाउ देयर आर टू अल्टरनेटिव्स. One, there is a program, there is a way of having some vaccination where it is adopted, then 400 people will be saved. Now, if program B, the vaccination program B is adopted, then there is only one third probability that 600 people will be saved, and two-third probability that no one will be saved. Now, the question is which program any person will actually choose. Now, research says the moment these two options are there, generally people will choose the option A, कि 400 लोग तो बच जाएगा. That is much important. We see in a different way. Suppose if A is adopted, 200 people will die. If program B is adopted, then there is one third probability that no one will die, and two-third probability that 600 people will die. The moment I change this question in this way, actually मैं same चीज बोले हैं, the result changes. In the first scenario, majority of the people have chosen option A, even though actually both the cases will save 200 people. In the next scenario, majority of the people will choose B, even though both the options will have 400 deaths. That what our brain will take a decision. Now, as a investor, if I know that this is the bias, maybe we will be able to choose any of the scenario because we know that the outcome is going to be same even if I am choosing any of these. We talk about personal finance. Frankly speaking, personal finance is more personal than finance. So it actually changes as every person. So it depends upon how you are, how are your biases, which bias is important for you, and then accordingly, your decision will also change. So for that, it's important that we know our biases. We are aware of what can affect us. We may think nothing is going to happen, we are all rational. It's not that. I will give you example upon example. 1987, the big crash which happened in US market. At that point of time, there was a theory called efficient market idea. That market is level में चले गए हैं, everything is going correct, there will not be any crash. कुछ कुछ टाइम में इनफैक्ट आई स्टिल बिलीव कि अभी भी काफी लोगों के अंदर द सेम टाइप ऑफ थॉट प्रोसेस आर कमिंग कि नहीं एवरीथिंग इज गोइंग गुड, इतना लिक्विडिटी है, मार्केट तो कभी नीचे आ ही नहीं सकता है. And the crash happened in 87, and the moment market started filling down, automatically people started creating chaos and it actually crashed heavily. The same thing happened in dot-com bubble. At that point of time, people used to see that how many impression a particular app or a particular platform is having. It's not about profitability, it's not about anything else, how many impression. And everybody was gung-ho about especially on because of Y2K tech. So there was a huge euphoria, then the burst, and people started understanding that investors and policymakers have to consider behavioral factor. Now, as an investor, can you take advantage of that also? That is also a big question for you. So when any stock starts going up and when everybody says that that's a normal scenario, then the euphoria comes. Can you take advantage of that and actually book profit? On the other side, when for a long term a stock is doing bad, but the company fundamentally is doing good, you will see that lot of memes will start coming out. That is the point of time when actually you can come out and buy that particular stock. 2008, same thing happened. Rational choice, people started taking, there were a lot of risk taking behavior, especially on the infrastructure segment. People thought nothing is going to happen, new government will come, infrastructure India ye to rahega hi rahega, there is a huge investment. And the same problem happened in 2008. So investments and dealing with irrationality is a normal thing. There will be lot of complex information, there will be fear, there will be peer influence also. FOMO becomes a very big problem. There will be greed. If you miss the early burst, you will try to create or invest somewhere कि बहुत जल्दी मेरे को वो पैसा मिल जाए, so that पुराना जो मेरा लॉस हुआ था नहीं इन्वेस्ट करके, I can actually take care of that. There will be persons who will come and validate. You will think that everything is under control. You know each and every information. Market volatility will go on happening, but you will start not taking into cognizance that market volatility. And then there will be some correction. And whatever you were thinking, whatever confidence you were having, when everybody is losing the confidence, you will also start panicking, and that creates the problem. And then you will become much rational, but it is much late. Can we take into consideration all these from day one and start investing with the understanding that we cannot be rational, there will be biases. Let's understand our bias. So let's understand that how these biases actually affects us. So we think that humans are rational while making investment decision is not at all true. Unless and until we understand our biases, we will be irrational, because those biases actually filter our own vision. So the way we are seeing, the way we are thinking will actually have a different opinion, different way of thinking into or looking into those numbers. So why actually we are irrational? The biggest problem is our right brain. We are emotional. There are emotions like fear, greed, excitement, all this play a pivotal role. There are cognitive biases. There are cases where you will be seeing the number, but your brain will not read those numbers the way it has to be read, because you have some confirmation bias that ये तो ऐसे ही है. There are social influences. The bigger pressure is the peer pressure, and with those peer pressure we take lot of decisions which is not our decision, which might be some others opinion. And then there is a limited information which we are having, and with those information we process our decisions. So these are the major reasons with which we try to create decisions which are having biases. If we know that these are the problem, definitely that becomes a much advantageous for us. Now, what is behavioral finance? And we think as an AMC, this is going to be the most important thing for a fund management team, as well as for a distribution or financial planner, as well as it is much more important for an investor. So it actually connects the human psychology and finance. It actually sheds light into emotions, biases, influences, all those things, so that your decision becomes much better, and you know that how it changes as far as the market dynamics are concerned. Now, there are traditional way of assumptions that portfolio are there. There will be mean reversion, there will be predictable saving spending pattern, liquidity will be there. The moment market comes down, there will be more and more investors who will be coming, all those things you will be hearing now. And there will be always an efficient market hypothesis. I showed you the 1987 scenario. The same time, the same problem happened. Everybody thought that market is efficient. And then the other side, there are behavioral financial assumptions, where it acknowledges with all those logics, human are irrational due to cognitive and emotional errors. The expected returns are always influenced by factors which are beyond risk. There will be social status, responsibility. Because of that, your expected returns will be changed. So maybe at the time of investment, you were having an expectation of X return. The whole thing changes as well as your risk appetite also changes. The way the environment is changing. Market efficient is actually a resist or always doesn't make an accurate decision or an accurate number. It's a pendulum. It always go on hovering around, and you have to understand the bias to understand that where actually the proper market number should be or the intrinsic value should be. The behavioral biases are actually a very illogical beliefs that unconsciously affects us. So if you think that ये हो सकता है क्या मेरे साथ, now that's actually the behavioral bias. So let's see. So what I did, I meet lot of investors. So I put three types of investors and actually how they behaved in different type of market conditions. So one, there is a middle-aged engineer. So I put those name in such a way that it will not 99% of the time it will not resemble with any one of you. So a middle-aged engineer who loves analyzing data, believes research skills, he has lot of confidence on him, and he invests his savings because for children's education. So he's a long-term investor. Okay. Then there is Emily. He is investing for retirement. He is very cautious because she knows that the number of years for investment is lesser. So she seeks stability. She is close to retirement and always look for secured option. And then there is Alex, new investor. Last 2 3 years, lot of these type of investors have entered into the market. He is a young artist. He knows not much about investing. He follows trends and goes with gut feeling. And I'm telling you, gut feeling actually is the reason of investing for a lot of investors. There is a book also called Gut Investing. So it's not that people do not invest through gut. There is a huge number of investor जो इन्वेस्ट करते हैं कि मेरे को लगता है ये होगा या टिप मिला है ये होगा, and they invest without any logic. So he is such investor and he has actually made good money. So Mark believes, I have studied the market thoroughly. This new technology seems promising. So he actually goes through a lot of data, charts, everything. Emily thinks, I will stick to what I know. I will not go beyond what I know. And even if it's not giving great return, it is okay. Alex is, I heard my friends, they gave me tips about a new startup. I think I will invest into that. So let's see. So Mark looks at the news and there is a market up. The Mark's action will be, see, I knew it. My research was right. Uh, if the market is giving a very good return, what will be Emily's reaction? The market volatile है, अभी ऊपर है, but पता है मेरे को मुश्किल है, there will be correction as well. So it's better that I move into bond. Alex, the startup is soaring. My instinct were spot on. So he's more confident. Then market dips. So when they were looking at those news, they were actually looking the news which they wanted to see. So Mark wanted to see all the positive news. Emily wanted to see volatility. Alex wanted to see the startups where his instinct is saying that these startups are going to give a good return. But when market dips, Mark's reaction will be, but my research said it would rise, so I will stay put. Emily, I should have gone with safer options. मैं बोले थे ना volatile है, क्यों नहीं किया? Alex, I can't believe it. I lost so much. My friend's advice is terrible. तो जितना टिप था, जितना दोस्त का दोस्ती था, सब कुछ खत्म हो गया because of the market correction. Actually, what was happening? Mark was having overconfidence bias. Now, overconfidence bias is not that कि logical लोगों को आता नहीं है. It's across. I will give you a different example altogether, not from investment. And I'm sure a lot of you will be able to connect and remember that situation. India-Pakistan match, World Cup match. आमिर सोहेल इज द बैट्समैन. देर इज अ बॉल, फर्स्ट बॉल में 4 मारा. उसके बाद वेंकटेश प्रसाद को आमिर सोहेल आके बोलता है नेक्स्ट बॉल में हम वहीं से वैसे ही करके हम 4 मारने वाले हैं. नाउ जस्ट थिंक, मतलब how foolish a batsman can be, that what will be his second shot he is telling to one of the best bowler, and when everything was going right for Pakistan, and what happened, he tried the same shot and he was clean bowled by Venkatesh Prasad. Now that's what overconfidence bias is. Now at that level, he is a professional sportsman, still overconfidence comes. Emily was having anchor bias because her bias is stability matters. So whatever reaction happens, she will always go into that anchoring. And Alex was having confirmation. I need a more informed approach. Trains alone aren't enough. Again, he will do the same mistake because he will confirm himself कि ये information अभी ठीक होने वाला है. The moment we understand the biases, it becomes easier for us to take a much better decision. So there are different type of biases: cognitive bias, emotional bias. Cognitive biases will be having belief perseverance, there will be errors in processing, and emotional also. There are different ways of emotional bias. So we will try to cover few of the biases which might be affecting all of us in a much bigger way. So let's think about cognitive biases. Cognitive biases, the biggest problem is our belief on perseverance. मैं इतना दिन रिसर्च करके ये स्टॉक को देखे है, ये इंडस्ट्री देखे है, उसके बाद कोई आके अगर बोलता है नहीं इंडस्ट्री तो चलने वाला है नहीं, या ये म्यूचुअल फंड अभी नहीं होगा, वो हो ही नहीं सकता. इट्स रॉन्ग बिकॉज आई हैव डन ऑल द रिसर्च. So I believe on perseverance is a psychological phenomena. I believe and always will be having those data points which actually gives me the assurance that I am right. And that's the bias which is going to create a bigger problem for me. So the first thing which comes is confirmation bias. I will seek out information that confirms my existing beliefs. सेम थिंग हैपेंस इन एवरी पार्ट ऑफ अवर लाइफ. कहीं कोई जगह में मेरा अगर कोई सोच है कि ये ऐसे होना है, आई विल मिक्स और मिंगल विथ पीपल हु विल एक्चुअली कंफर्म कि हाँ ऐसे ही होना है. द पर्सन्स हु आर नॉट कंफर्मिंग, मेरे को लगेगा ये तो बुद्धू है, इसको समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. Then what happens? I actually have illusion of control. I think I have more control over outcome because I know the process. I have done all the research. I have perceived my perseverance is good, so that I am actually taking the right calls. So I will be having an illusion of much bigger control on the market, which actually is not there. And then the moment it doesn't appear in the same way, then I will become a conservative person, a conservative bias. ये सब प्रॉब्लम है, चाहिए नहीं, मेरे को तो सेफ जगह में चाहिए जाना चाहिए. And then I will start missing the opportunities which will be coming. And you will be seeing lot of cases, people will be going into traditional business investments or savings without investing into maybe in the market or maybe at least in a hybrid fund. Then there will be representative bias, where investors will be making decisions on the stereotypes, generalizations, ऐसे ही हुआ है, automatically the same pattern will happen. And the last one becomes very important, especially at the current point of time, that hindsight bias. Investors believe that they have predicted an outcome जो शायद वो predict नहीं किया था. But the moment the outcome comes, he or she thinks कि मैंने तो ऐसे ही बोले थे. Maybe by luck he has invested into a particular fund और वो फंड चल गया, तो होगा देखो मैं रिसर्च किए थे इसीलिए वो अच्छा किया है. Now the best way of controlling it is, whenever you are taking a decision, put it the reasons because of which you are taking the decision of investing into those stocks or into those mutual fund or wherever, whatever investment decisions you are taking. Even if the decision is correct, you actually got money, you have actually been positive on that particular investment decision, but Later on, you can actually check it is because of the reason for which you have wrote, or maybe because of something else. So I can give you again a very practical example. COVID का पहले there were a lot of investors who might have booked profit for some other reason, और वो cash में आ गया था. And then COVID happened. Then everybody started saying, see, I actually understood that there is a problem which can happen, and I was in cash. But the cash was some for some other reason. And then what happened? For the next 2 years, he remained in cash, and he was unable to invest into the market and get a positive return. Now that's the problem of hindsight bias. So let's take an example. Uh, how these biases affects our decision making. So there is a story in Greek mythology, Procrustes. Now, what Procrustes was used to do, he actually used to invite people खाने के लिए. He used to take care of those people, और उसके बाद बहुत अच्छा खाना सर्व करते थे, सब कुछ करके then he used to take them in the restroom and used to say कि अभी आप rest लीजिए. So there was a there used to be a very good bed. वो बेड का में वो बंदा सोने के लिए जाते थे. Either that person will be shorter or the person will be longer than the bed. The moment he sees that the person is shorter, वो बंदे को टाई करके उसको खींच के वो बेड तक करने का कोशिश करते थे, and because of that the person used to die. अगर वो उससे ज्यादा हो जाता था, he used to cut the legs, and because of bleeding and other things, the person used to die. The biggest bias he used to have is this bed is the perfect bed. इसी में ही सबको एकदम fit होना है. If a person is not being able to fit into this particular bed, then there is a problem, and I have to ensure that he fits. The same way, investor also does the same thing. So they used to read financial news, stay informed, pay more attention to few of the newses which actually affects their decision, and then they try to surround themselves with perspectives which will be actually confirming their decision, and that creates the problem of having a wrong decision. अभी इससे निकले कैसे? Two ways. Have a devil's advocate. Devil's advocate matlab there has to be a person who can question your decision. Now, the moment a person question, don't think it that that person is against you. He is actually helping you by providing the cues or the questions which can lead to a different or a wrong decision. So have faith on that devil's advocate. The more that person gives you cues or question, you will be actually taking a much better decision. Now, problem with devil's advocate is, one, if that person you don't think is a knowledgeable person, you will not, or you will try to discount that person. So have a devil's advocate who can be equal to your decision making ability, or whom you regard as a person who can be unbiased to give his or her opinion. With that, you can actually control the bias. The second is conservative bias. गलती अगर कहीं पर हो गया तो नेक्स्ट 2-3 साल के लिए तो हम लोग पूरा कंजर्वेटिविज्म में चले जाते हैं. I gave you an example of that COVID. Now, there will be lot of investors, 2-3 years they were fully conservative कि अभी तो कुछ गड़बड़ होने वाला है. So what they do, they stick with their familiar or traditional investment choices because they don't want to change. Again, I repeat, it's not only in investment. You will be seeing the same type of behavior in every sphere of life. Taking a new challenge will be too difficult for a person to take unless and until he is okay to take new challenges. Conservative bias will always prick him. भाई जरूरत क्या है, जो कर रहे हो चल रहा है ना, नया चीज करके अगर फेल हो जाए लोग क्या बोलेगा, उससे अच्छा है जो कर रहे हैं वहीं पर स्टिक रहते हैं. Now, how to come out of that? So, as an investor, my suggestion request will be you should regularly reassess your portfolio, maybe along with an advisor, and always consider new opportunities. Now, when I am saying consider new opportunities, first check all the avenues, understand the pros and cons, and have a devil's advocate, and take a decision. But always look for new opportunities. The moment you introduce yourself with well researched new investment opportunity, that can actually add alpha to your portfolio. Otherwise, you will be going into the same low interest or safe type of investment which may not beat the inflation. The third bias, which is very important again, is representative bias. It's a mental shortcut that creates a decision which is a stereotype or past experience का हिसाब से वो हुआ है. Now this can lead to misjudgment and missed opportunity. This also is because of our gut. मेरे को पता है. And then you create a very quick shortcut to create a decision. Now, to come out of that bias, it's always better to have diverse information. Relying on only one pattern, there you will be seeing lot of persons जो आपको काफी सारा पैटर्न बोलेगा, एल्गो बोलेगा कि ऐसे ही मार्केट चलता है, ये 4 दिन ऊपर जाएगा, उसके बाद 2 दिन नीचे जाएगा. एवरी थर्ड ईयर मार्केट नया पीक लेते हैं. अगर 14th डे में आप इन्वेस्ट करते हैं तो इतना होगा. नाउ दैट्स अ पैटर्न व्हिच हैज हैपेंड फॉर द लास्ट 2 years 3 years. देयर इज नो लॉजिक बिहाइंड इट. सो द मोमेंट यू स्टार्ट क्वेश्चनिंग द assumption क्यों ऐसे होता है, you will be able to understand that it's only a normal pattern, nothing else. And then start having counter examples, and those counter examples will mitigate those biases. This will again help you to have a much better investment decision. Illusion of control. In the current context, lot of investors have this illusion. मेरे को पता है लिक्विडिटी मार्केट में बहुत है, स्मॉल कैप मिड कैप तो नीचे आ ही नहीं सकते हैं क्योंकि इतना पैसा आ जाएगा. देन देयर विल बी न्यूज आर्टिकल्स विच विल बी कंफर्मिंग दैट म्यूचुअल फंड इंडस्ट्री के पास इतना कैश है, वो आ जाएगा यहाँ पर. अरे वो कैश इन्वेस्ट होगा कि नहीं किसी को पता नहीं है. एंड दैट कैन, ऑल दीज थिंग्स कैन क्रिएट ओवर कॉन्फिडेंस, एंड देन इट कैन बिकम अ पुअर डिसीजन मेकिंग. So what way you can actually control this? Investors should recognize that some factors are beyond our control. It is only probability with which we try to invest. I was showing you an example of disease and the probability of 2/3 probability of curing of that particular disease. The same way in investment world also, it is only the probability. Nobody have a certainty that something is going to happen. Now the probability can be accurate. The probability can also become bad for you. The moment you understand and recognize that it's not in your control, the moment you think about that, you will be having a much better risk adjusted way of investing. As you know, it's a probability. You have to hedge some part of your investment. It's not that you will put everything in one basket. You will have to have different other ways of investing, maybe something in equity, something in hybrid, something in debt, some FD. That creates a much better asset allocation and an experience. Your peer, your friend may have invested 100% into small cap and tripled his investment, but that's a stray case. Why to take that risk? Hindsight bias. ये तो हम देखे हैं ऐसे ही होगा. It's a tendency that past events will actually predict the future. तो एक सेक्टोरल फंड 100% का ऊपर रिटर्न दिया, फिर एक इंडेक्स फंड आ गया उस सेक्टोरल के ऊपर, एंड एवरीबॉडी स्टार्टेड इन्वेस्टिंग इनटू दैट इंडेक्स. अभी शायद वो 10 के नीचे भी चल रहा है. इट्स अगेन द हाइंडसाइट बायस. अगर लास्ट 1.5 साल में 100% रिटर्न दिया है तो नेक्स्ट 1 साल में भी उतना ही देगा. नाउ The moment you acknowledge that the future is uncertain and outcomes are always not at all predictable, you will not make the same mistake. So don't have hindsight bias. आप गाड़ी कभी भी पीछे देख के नहीं चलाते हैं, सामने देख के ही चलाने का कोशिश करते हैं. So I will stop here because we have discussed lot of biases. I will just put one more error in your mind so that you may think on it, and maybe in future we can have then start discussion with it. That process error is a very again common problem which we have. It's a psychology which refers the mistakes or inaccuracies which occur during our mental process. हम लोग का memory, attention, decision making, ये हर चीज में it's a normal thing to have error. Now, our mindset interprets information at times in a faulty way. If we are not fully conscious and deviate from rationality, our mind will take those data points which we like and process it in such a way that we will have all the informations which is going to help us with our preconceived decision. Now, again, I repeat, the moment you know these biases, understand these errors, hopefully, we all can become a much better investor. With this, I stop and conclude this session. If you have any question, any query, you may ask.
Dear friends, if you have any questions, you can post and I'll take it from there. Um, Meanwhile, sir, any advice for our young investors who want to enter the market? And there have been many who have entered the market. Any uh, word of advice and guidance that you would like to give them?
So I think a very good question. In fact, Rohit, lot of you have already entered into the market. Last 2 3 years, we have not seen much of correction. I am not saying कि ये होने वाला है. India is actually going through a superb run, and whatever is problem is happening in geopolitical in lot way, India is actually in a much better shape. So I'm not questioning that, but I'm saying the same thing, that have only one thing in your mind, that there is a risk, there is a probability of having a different way of seeing the market as well. So have asset allocation, don't put everything in one basket, and don't invest by seeing the hindsight. ये अगर 100% दिया है वही होगा, ये शायद नहीं होने वाला है. So where is the opportunity, where the return is not much in the last 1.5 year, is there an opportunity into that? So be much more informed. I think that will help. Whoever has not entered into this market, my advice will be, don't wait. The risk of not entering into the market is much higher than the risk of entering into this market. So enter into this market, whether you have to be in mutual fund or in stocks or in a mutual fund, hybrid, large cap, where that is your decision. And maybe if you have an advisor, he can be a teacher, a person, a friend who can actually help you. But not entering into the market is a much, much bigger risk, and you will miss the opportunity of the growth which is happening in this country.
Very nicely said, sir. I believe there are no questions. Before we end the session, I'd like to quickly summarize what you talked about. We actually put a lot of thought, and it was very helpful for us to understand that humans really rational? They can be, they cannot be, but it is normal, and we should not beat ourselves that it is that all humans are having biases. Personal finance is very personal for depending on your biases. Humans are rational while making investment decision, which isn't true because their biases are there and they need to be filtered out. Anirudh sir explained us different influences that an investor has. It ranges from emotional influence, cognitive biases, social influences, and limited information that is available for a normal investor to process. Behavioral bias are not logical, and they can beliefs that unconsciously affect the decision making of the individual. There are a lot of factors which drive human making decisions, especially while we are making financial decisions. And he explained to us different types of biases: overconfidence bias, anchor bias, confirmation bias, and cognitive bias, emotional biases, which and the various ways in which we can take actions to counter all these biases that we have. Friends, we'll connect with Anirudh sir again to deep dive into other forms of behavioral biases that we have, and help us in understanding more of this concept. While we all take advice from him that we all participate in today's market for better wealth creation, at the same time, we at Bajaj Finance would like to partner with you in this journey, and we would request you all to please explore our mutual fund section on our app, on our website, where you can also explore funds not only just from Bajaj AMC but from other AMCs as well. uh, Please enjoy the very nice customer experience that we have built on our digital assets. You can also connect with us online, offline, on our branches, where our executives will help you, guide you to reach to us. Like sir said, that you can seek guidance and advice for making healthy investment decisions, so that you create wealth for yourselves and mitigate the different biases that you have, and stay in line to create wealth for yourself. Friends, with this, I'd like to end this session. Before I end, Anirudh sir, any few words which you would like to share with our audience?
Thank you, Rohan, and thank you once again for all the participant. As I said, not investing is a bigger risk than being into this market. So don't miss this opportunity. As Rohan said, uh, it's important to have a guide, have a sarthi who can help you, and uh, we will be having biases. It's not that we will be able to control all our biases. So a guide, a sarthi can actually be the person who can help you to beat those biases, whether it is a human interference or through a digital way or a platform. So I hope with those interferences and by being into this market, you will all create wealth. So thank you once again.
Thank you so much, sir. Looking forward to have more sessions with you. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We'll get back to you for more these sessions. If you have any queries, questions, or comments, please write on the comment section, and we will definitely get in touch with you and help you make better investment decisions and with all your questions. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Bye, sir.
Thank you.